Well, old Tyler Childers blew up the internet Friday when he released an album called Long Violent History, and also put out a video explaining the album and encouraging his listeners to simply think. And boy, did that ruffle some feathers, especially in the part of the world where he came from. I saw people suddenly calling him a sellout, calling him all these things, saying that he was doing it for money and saying that he was trying to broaden his fan base. That's totally backwards, by the way. If he was wanting to broaden his fan base, he would have just doubled down on his redneckery, and he would have definitely made a lot more money. But he didn't. He came out and went the opposite way with it, and everybody got offended. But let me point out a few things to you. For years, I heard people complain about country music, and I myself have had plenty of complaints and plenty of arguments to be made. I've written songs about it. One thing that everyone always used to say is, man, I wish some country artists would come along like Johnny Cash. You know, somebody that had some balls, somebody that would have guts to make the albums they wanted to make instead of all this just bro country fluff. And then along comes Tyler and does it, and it rubs you the wrong way. And it rubs you the wrong way because he didn't make an album that fit your preconceived notions. Instead, he asked you to question your preconceived notions. And you guys are the ones that turned it political, not Tyler. See, what Tyler asked you to do was think. That's not political. If he'd have wrote a song called Riding with Biden or Jump on the Trump Train, that would be politics. But asking you to think, asking you to put yourself in another man's shoes, what was so bad about that man asking you to do that? You're going to now burn his records? Well, what are you going to listen to? Sturgill Simpson already pissed you off. Chris Stapleton already pissed you off. All your favorite country artists are pissing you off because they're actual artists. Because they're not just people grabbing for the brass ring. They're not some transplanted Yankee son of a car dealer just trying to tell you whatever you want to hear to sell a record. They're making real music, and they're taking a stand. And you're mad because they went against what you thought. Well, you know what you get when you get people that just do what they're told? You get the very kind of music you've been complaining about for years. You can't have it both ways. And it's not very American of you to tell someone to shut up and sing. It's also, I would recommend that if you want to jump on that bandwagon of shut up and sing, you need to throw away your Johnny Cash records, throw away your Merle Haggard records, throw away your Christopherson albums, your Willie Nelson albums, your Woody Guthrie albums, your John Lennon albums, your Clash albums, your Neil Young albums, your Ronnie Van Zant, Leonard Skinner era albums, your Allman Brothers albums, your Buffalo Springfield. Listen, I will run out of breath. I'll be like Bubba Gump trying to name all the shrimp if I go on and on and on telling you about all the albums you should burn too. Tyler Childers made one of the most significant albums of our time. 20 years from now, 30 years from now, people are going to look back on this and realize it for the monumental moment it was. An all-fiddle album, and at the very end, he comes in with that gut punch to make you think. At a time when the world was burning down, man, just like Nero played the fiddle when Rome burned, Tyler was playing the fiddle while this country burned. And all the man asked you to do was make him think. The most depressing part of all of this is I was a history nerd growing up. I used to go to the library and read during lunch, and the people used to come into the library where I was go, "What you reading for?" And I was like, "Well, man, I wanted to learn some more about what they were teaching us in history class." "Oh, that's stupid, man. Let's go out in the hallway and chase some girls." I'm like, "Well, I'm too awkward at this point to do that, so I'm going to sit in here and read these books." And I used to read books about the late 60s, and I used to think how cool it would have been to grow up in that time. I used to tell my mom, "Wow, you got to grow up when like Bobby Kennedy was around and Malcolm X and Martin Luther King. Wow, that had to have been awesome." Now I'm beginning to realize just how not awesome that had to have been. And now I'm beginning to realize as I scroll Facebook and I see friends of mine, I see fellow musicians, I see people that I've collaborated with saying some of the most vile, disgusting things. And I realized that when I used to see that picture of the people squirting the mustard and the ketchup on the black people's backs and on their heads at the counter, I used to always wonder where those old white guys went. Well, they reproduced. They had kids and grandkids. And the most depressing part of all this is learning that my people who I looked up to and people who I respected would have found ways to demonize Emmett Till, would have found ways to say that the 4 little black girls in Birmingham deserved it. And they would have hated Muhammad Ali. It really cracks me up when I hear them talk about how much they love to watch him fight. I respect what Tyler Childers did. And I think more artists should do it. I think it's high time that everybody just forget about who you're going to offend, because you're going to offend somebody no matter how you go. Your true fans will stick with you, and the ones that weren't can easily show themselves to the door. And I feel that's the line they drew in the sand, not us. So I applaud Tyler Childers, and I applaud any artist who doesn't listen to some idiot when they tell him to just shut up and sing. Hey, that doesn't mean I'm going to go out here to every bar I go to and get on a soapbox with a megaphone and start talking. But I think here on my platform, here where I put out my things, I should be allowed to say the things I want to say. And if that offends people and they don't want to listen, then so be it. I would much rather write songs that caused you to think and pissed you off as songs that kept you in a coma. So y'all have a good one. And God bless Tyler Childers.